Okay, before I can reveal my new garage YouTube studio, I'm back in my usual spot to talk about my old YouTube setup. I consider myself to be quite frugal, so the decision to spend over $1,000 to get myself out of the setup you see now was not easy. But there are a lot of different variables that made this a great investment, and I want to be transparent with those details for anyone who might be interested. So in this video, I'll be running you through how I previously shot my YouTube videos and all of the problems that came with it, which, if you've seen my previous videos, you might already be aware of. Then, I'll tell you why investing into a more legitimate studio ended up being the perfect financial decision for me right now. Finally, we'll head over to the new studio and I'll detail everything it took to convert an empty single-car garage into my new YouTube studio. This will include all of the gear and equipment I purchased, how I set it up, and the full cost breakdown of everything involved. I'll leave timestamps in the description below if you want to skip forward to the good stuff, but if you really want to appreciate the new setup, you might want to check out these first few minutes. So let's get started. I'm currently on my apartment balcony, where I filmed almost 50 different videos since starting YouTube last July. I've been filming outside because I live with 3 other people, who all either work from home, do school from home, or both. Logistically, it would be very difficult to film inside without interrupting someone, so this was my best option. When I started my channel, I just set up my tripod and filmed in natural light. I quickly noticed that the brightness of my video would change with the sun and the clouds, which produced an inconsistent look throughout the video. Plus, when I filmed during the day, there were tons of noise distractions from neighbors, and living in Florida, it also gets super hot. So as my channel grew, I was inspired to improve the setup. First, I added some curtains to block light pollution from outside my balcony. I also started shooting at night and used a basic lighting kit to get a more consistent look to my videos. I even put more effort into the background, using my girlfriend's plants to liven up the shot and make it more visually appealing. I've been able to get a much more consistent look for my videos, but there's still one thing that drives me nuts about this setup. I have absolutely no control over the sound other than what I can correct during my edits. I'm constantly disturbed by crickets, cars driving by, dogs at the daycare down the street, or the board and milk factory that is right next door and suspiciously operates at all hours of the night. I also have to hope that it isn't windy or raining on nights when I plan to film, because that noise also gets picked up on my microphone and causes some difficulties by blowing my curtains around. I should also mention that we still use this balcony to hang out all the time. So every time I shoot a video, I completely rearrange the furniture and unpack my gear, then I have to put everything back in its place when I'm done. This adds a good hour to my video shoots, which is certainly not convenient. But I've dealt with all of this because my channel wasn't making money for several months, and I wasn't going to invest money into it until I knew it would be profitable. Fortunately, I've been monetized for about 2 months now, and have earned much more than I expected to for my first few months in the YouTube Partner Program. And that meant that it finally made sense to expand my setup into an official studio. With money coming in from YouTube through Google AdSense, I can finally start running this channel like a business. From this perspective, it makes sense for me to upgrade to a studio to continue growing my channel, the cost of which will be cushioned by writing off the expenses on my taxes. As I explained, this outdoor setup is far from optimal. I waste a ton of time setting up out here, and it's limiting the quality of my videos. I know that by moving into a formal studio, I could have an environment where my gear remains set up 24/7. This way, whenever I need to shoot a video, I can just pop in, turn the lights on, and hit record. This alone is going to save me hours of work in the future. On top of that, it's going to ensure much better quality across the board, specifically in the audio department. As someone who went to school for video production, I'm probably a little more anal about this than most of my audience, but I'm sure new viewers will appreciate the look and sound of a more professional video setup. So hopefully this attracts more subscribers and regular viewers, or at least makes fewer people leave after clicking on one of my videos. Finally, a big reason I was okay with spending all of this money on studio space is that I can write it off against my income. I'm pretty sure if I wasn't earning anything from YouTube, I wouldn't be able to deduct expenses from my taxes. But since I'm expecting to make substantially more from YouTube this year than what I spent on my studio setup, I'll still be left with plenty of profits at the end of the year and a studio that I can fully enjoy shooting videos in. Plus, as I was considering this decision, my apartment complex ran a limited time deal on garage rentals, which made it the perfect opportunity to get low-cost studio space. But we'll talk money in a minute. Let me take you down there and show you what it actually looks like. And here we are. I don't know about you guys, but I don't miss the old setup a bit. It feels super great to be in a space that I created specifically to film these videos, and I am so excited to film all my new stuff in here. Although I have to admit, it took a lot of planning to get it to come together. So let's break down what we've got going on here. First, we'll start with the backdrop. I was never a huge fan of the red-orange background that I had previously, but I love that I had plants around to put some green in the shot. Obviously, as a channel that focuses on finance, green is a very fitting color, red not so much. So I wanted to keep that theme going, but without my girlfriend's green thumb to rely on for props, I just went with some artificial plant panels from IKEA. They're actually the most expensive part of this entire setup. I bought 56 of these panels for $5 each, which came out to about $300 after tax. I'm also a big fan of natural wood textures, so I also picked up these wood panels from IKEA to break up the background and give it a little more variety. I picked up a couple packs, which came out to about $100. After a few hours with the staple gun, it all came together perfectly. I'm really happy with this background because all of the pieces can be disassembled super easily. When planning this out, I really wanted to make sure I'd be able to use these things again in the future, just in case I move somewhere else and need to set up a studio in a different environment. To complete the background, I got 2 rice paper floor lamps, also from IKEA, to give the space some warmth and add a little more excitement to the background. Regrettably, I had to order these on eBay from someone who charged triple what they cost at IKEA and spent $90 on the pair. As it turns out, scalping items from IKEA and selling them to suckers like me might be super profitable, so maybe that's a side hustle worth looking into. The tricky part of this setup was dealing with the terrible acoustic environment that is a single-car garage. As soon as I stepped foot in here, I knew I was going to spend most of my budget on sound dampening equipment to make this space usable. This was my first time doing something like this, so I'm still not sure if I did it as best as I possibly could, but it's getting the job done so far. My first move was to get acoustic foam panels. These help reduce the reverberations of sound waves so that the sound of my speaking doesn't bounce aggressively off the walls and back into my microphone. From my understanding, the reverberations are most severe closest to the source, which would mean the walls, floor, and the ceiling closest to where I'm speaking. I ordered 96 square feet of 2-inch thick foam panels from the Foam Factory, which ran me about $130. I checkerboarded them on the walls and ceiling to get as much coverage as possible in my immediate area. Again, I wanted to be able to take these down and use them elsewhere if need be, so I got some heavy-duty outdoor mounting tape and used as little as possible to get them on the walls. They're super light, so they don't need much, but hopefully that will make it possible for me to remove them in the future with as little damage as possible. Next, I got a Producer's Choice acoustic sound blanket in the biggest size possible, which is 10 feet by 6 feet and 8 inches. This cost about $120, but it's probably the most crucial addition to the setup. The foam panels I put up are definitely making a noticeable difference in the sound, but this blanket absorbs so much of the echo in the room. I experimented with different locations, but ended up hanging it immediately behind the camera as close to the floor as possible. This leaves about 4 or 5 feet of space behind the blanket to the garage door, which is essentially wasted space, but that's what gave me the best sound. Fortunately, since I'm in a garage, it's already got the infrastructure to hang it. Last, to kill some of the sound from the floor, I got an outdoor rug from IKEA that cost $60. It'd probably be more effective if it were thicker and softer, but I knew this would not be a clean enough environment for that kind of rug. And again, I figured maybe I could use it in the future on a patio or balcony. So after all of this, I'd spent about $300 for audio purposes, which I'll remind you is one of the biggest reasons I wanted to move to a studio space. After setting it all up, I was freaking out because I could still hear the echo when I talked in here. Luckily, the de-reverb effect in Adobe Premiere is perfect for killing the last bit of echo and giving me crispy, clean audio. Just to give you guys a taste, this is the natural audio without the effect on, which I would not have been happy with. Luckily, Adobe saves the day and I don't have to spend any more money on acoustic sound products. The only new camera equipment I purchased is this awesome softbox light kit from Great Video Maker. It's been a while since I bought some new camera gear, but I knew that it was the final piece that would bring this studio setup to life. My previous light kit was effective, but I didn't have anything to soften or disperse the light. As a result, you can see in all of my previous videos that I have some really harsh shadows behind me, often cast off of the plants in the background or my own body. This softbox gives me a customizable color temperature with a beautifully soft light, so I can get really nice clean lighting with a flip of a switch. It cost me $259, but I know this is something that I will continue to use as long as I'm alive and making videos. Plus, with this new light, I have more possibilities with overall lighting by mixing in my old light kit. So in the next few videos, I'll probably experiment with light placement and see how I want to arrange them. The final thing I purchased for this garage studio is a dehumidifier. If you don't know already, a Florida garage in the summer has got to be one of the most humid environments possible. I might also pull a fan in here if it isn't enough, but I'm hoping the dehumidifier will at least keep the air dry and save me from completely melting when I shoot videos. It was kind of funny shopping for this thing because I've written so many articles about dehumidifiers on my Amazon affiliate site, and I instantly thought of all the questions surrounding dehumidifiers that I had answered so many times in my posts. I ended up picking this one out because I had actually reviewed it in one of my previous articles, and it gave me a weird nostalgic feeling even though I quit that project just a few weeks ago and I have not missed it a bit. But anyway, the dehumidifier was $70. And that's everything I purchased for the studio setup. Altogether, I spent about $1,130 on everything. At this point, I should also share that I'm renting this garage for $130 a month. So this month, I'll be paying about $1,260 for the studio, but obviously my only recurring expenses will be that $130 a month. And when I weigh the pros and cons of this space versus my old setup, it's a no-brainer. For $130 a month, after all the setup costs, I have a personalized studio that is the perfect environment for shooting my videos. Now I can keep my equipment set up all the time, which will make every shoot super efficient. Most importantly, I'll be able to produce better videos for you guys, which is what is going to push me to further success on this platform. And after going from making $0 on YouTube for months to now making around $300 a month, I'm happy to spend some of that on a studio that improves my experience and video quality. I hope you guys enjoyed this look at my new studio, and I hope you like the space because I'll be back in here for every video. If you have any questions about my equipment, I'll be happy to answer in the comments, and I'll also leave some links in the description if you're interested. But with that, be sure to tune in next week for the first official finance video in the new studio. Thanks, guys.